Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tim. I'm on the buzz with you today. We've got Josh and Kingsley coming on the show for the afternoon. Now, we are talking everything business, tech, entrepreneurship. Just to add Josh on the show. Good afternoon,
After,
Josh.
Afternoon, how are we doing?
Good, mate. Good.
Good
So
stuff.
so what have we got in store today to break down?
Okay, so for the first hour, we're going to be discussing the EU opening up an antitrust probe into Google's advertising business. Brussels is set to examine whether the US group have broken rules by giving an advantage to its own services. Now, Google advertises and sells advertisements in many multiple ways, such as AdSense. It's been discovered before that Google cater their advertisements to what you've recently searched by using cookies. And there's also speculation that it can also register your voice via your microphone on your computer, on your phone, etc., etc.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. We've got quite a bit to break down on the show today. So I think we can actually structure it right throughout the hour. We also have, talking about now, we know Google owns YouTube, and, talking about how YouTube basically prevails in EU copyright suit, as, there are regulators that reveal the Google ad, the new Google ad probe. So I mean, there's a lot of work like this going on. You have Apple and Facebook basically competing to basically I'd say gain the trust of the users. And it's like Facebook, we all know Facebook has had so many lawsuits, and they've been sued so many times with regard to the way they've used their customers data. And when it comes to this, it's basically ads. It's basically what they are trying to do is just monitor what people genuinely like and what people will genuinely need in terms of purchases. So ad or shops can basically pay these service these apps, or if it is software companies, they can basically pay these people to reach the customers, you know conveniently. But what these guys are doing is, sometimes, I mean, it is relatively new. These are all new industries. And when you're breaking it down, people need to understand how much are these companies actually taking from them in terms of privacy. Because we know, okay, your name, your email address can go there, but are you aware of how much of your personal data is going, where you're going, your locations, your times, who you contact the most, what type of messages you send them the most, what products you talk about the most. And then even if it is your face, your selfies, your phone gallery, you're basically granting access to all these companies if they really really want to access all this, right? So I mean, we've got a lot to break down. I'm super excited for the next hour. What we can do is we can run through a quick couple of videos of who we are at Relax Radio, and then break it down for everyone. Now you can tune in to the show. The show is actually live with Josh. So we
it
can
is.
actually, if you want to, you can actually comment on this video. Let us know what your thoughts are while we are breaking it down for you. And you can also call us up on 07852473473. We are streaming on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So just make sure you are tuned in. Our app is free as well. So make sure you download the app and stay tuned on the conversation.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What are your objectives? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
That's right. This is Relaks Radio. We are with you, in terms of, now the buzz basically breaks down everything business, tech, entrepreneurship. We have our show on Thursdays, 12 to 1 p.m. with Chris Slater-Jones, basically breaking down all things finance, personal development, increasing your net worth. And even when it comes to financial advice, he's basically got 25 years in the industry, in the finance industry, and he's been consulting on, multiple basically countries as well. So what we're doing is we'll basically be breaking down now. Josh and I will be breaking down the privacy ad problems that Google is facing with the EU. I mean, Josh, I'm actually glad the EU is actually taking a stand, because if it was the States, I think they lag in terms of alterations or monitoring how much these software companies actually take from the users, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's about, the EU stepping in is obviously a good thing, not only for us, but it's good for the whole consumer market in general, because it's obviously our personal data that's being used, and we have a right under the new GDPR law that was brought in, I believe 2 years ago. We have a right to know where that is going, where our personal information is going, and without a probe in it to find out what is actually happening, how are we supposed to know where our personal data is going? It's a crazy thing what cookies can do.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're talking about our numbers, I think majority of us might be aware of it. But then when you're talking about your email address, you're talking about everything on your mobile phone. Basically, it is a tool. It is a tool made to do things for you. And if you know how much of access you really give these app developers or these basically these solution providers. I mean, true, they do give you a significant amount of opportunity from using their product, but when it comes to your data, you are talking about maybe pictures you've liked. This is just social media, right? Pictures you've liked, people you look at. people you talk to, what products you talk about. That is how this targeting is done, right? And then when you break it
100%.
down onto things like your phone, when you give access for Instagram or Facebook alone to basically take pictures with your camera, you're basically granting access to them to actually be able to use the rest of your gallery. And when you do feel like you're the one that is using it, but if they really want to, they can actually go into your gallery and check what else you have. Now it is also, we don't really read our privacy terms and policies, the terms and conditions when you're agreeing to using an app. But Instagram basically recently updated themselves on when it comes to if you agree to use it, or even if you didn't really agree to it and continue to use it, they said that they assumed you agreed to the terms and conditions, because they are aware of the dependency of majority of the people. And when it comes to their app or their software, their platforms, they basically say that whatever you post online or through their apps gives them the authority to reuse it for whatever they want to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't long ago when we saw the US take action against TikTok. Donald Trump was wanting to ban TikTok because of the data that was being used, and Trump believed that it was being used for sinister reasons.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing stopping these companies doing it. We've heard it time and time again. Really, the only way to protect your personal data is via an encrypted network, such as a VPN. But why should we have to fork out additional money for a VPN? Because let's face it, these VPN services like Surfshark, they're not exactly cheap. Why should we have to invest in something like that when really we should be confident that our data is being kept secure, secure and proper, and used for the proper reasons? Why are we in doubt that our data is being used in a sinister way? We shouldn't have to worry about that. This is why I think the EU opening this probe, like they've done to the likes of Amazon, they've done it to the likes of Facebook, and now Google. I think it's about time.
Absolutely. And since you spoke about TikTok, I think when we go into their terms and conditions or their terms of agreement, or the basically privacy terms and policies, when you agree to use the app or when you use the app, you actually I myself, I'm not going to lie, I didn't really read it. But I watched a video that basically breaks it down, and they say that when you agree to it, you are basically giving them the authority to go into your, use your mobile, use the content that you put out again. And, I'd say 80% of TikTok videos are basically of people's own faces, right? And,
yes.
Or at least it includes their faces. And what TikTok says is that they have the authority or the ability to use your voice or your biometrics data. And what they can do is they can actually, break it down into saving it onto, different programs, and then, just monitoring things like that. So basically, if you are on TikTok or if you are active on the app, they basically know what you look like, regardless of where you are in the world. They know what your facial, basically they can, they know if you unlock your phone with your iPhone, let's say, for example, from the 10 plus, you know how the facial recognition story works. They basically have all that data with them. It's pretty scary, but it's new. I think the next generation, though. I did watch this movie called.
I'm worried for the next generation of people. Let's be honest. It's. I'll be completely honest now. So during obviously the first lockdown that we had last year because of COVID, I've become heavily interested in TikTok, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I managed to build an audience, and I gained quite a significant following. I think I got to like 10.6k.
Right.
And I got banned simply for just airing opinions and views. This is the thing. When you upload content to TikTok, your freedom of speech, your rights as a human, they're completely disregarded. Any content you upload to that platform it's not your property anymore. It becomes TikTok's intellectual property, and they can use it in any way they wish. And it states that in the terms and conditions. And the thing is, if you call them out for it, you are going to get censored. You will get censored. This is just how the bigger companies work now. You will get censored for exposing the truth, which is why I think, again, going into the EU probes, it's good because it's putting these companies on a pedestal and teaching them that they can't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I think even the fact that they break down the block. I mean, the fact that they can block you, just like how you said, it's not really them. It's not really people that are blocking you, but it's actually people that are. The app is actually programmed to do that. So I mean,
yeah.
So that they are actually monitoring every word or every word typed or spoken about. So it's programmed in a way that it knows if you are talking filth, if you are typing filth, or if you're talking against it, if you're if it comes into explicit content, things like that. Basically, I mean, when it comes to other people's privacy, or when it comes to exposing a lot of explicit content, I'm happy the app is at a point at that technology is at that point.
Thing is, the moderation on it isn't great. It isn't great because we're still seeing people with something that can be deemed as borderline pornographic content is still on that platform. But again, if you're making them money, they're not going to do anything about it. It's business. It's all about money making at the end of the day, and they are going to use your data to make that money.
That's true. That's 100% true. And I mean, now the fact that the EU has always been proactive in terms of how these apps push, or how these apps basically monitor or use people's data. When you're talking about Google, I think there's a lot that it has basically. I'd say, what's the word? How do you say? What would be your take in the lines of how the EU has interacted or engaged with Google's privacy, reach out in terms of their users, or when it comes to the amount of revenues that they're generating from these?
Put in a sense, they've installed a roadblock. They have literally stopped Google in their tracks and said, right, needs to stop, and we need to investigate this. Because this isn't right. Google made $147 billion last year just in advertisements alone. And the thing is, some of their advertisements aren't catered to the videos. For example, I remember seeing a video a little while ago on YouTube of a very popular family vlogging channel on YouTube that had announced that they had lost their baby. The woman she was 20 weeks pregnant and she lost her baby. One of the mid-roll advertisements was for pregnancy tests. How could they? This is the thing. They are not long. They are targeting their audience with the wrong kind of content. It needs to be used in a proper way and not in a sinister way at all.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's a little sad when it goes into things like that, but I'm pretty sure it comes into I'd say, me, for example, me being in the tech background, tech, or I'd say marketing, the Google, the SEO background, me having that background. I mean, I don't really mean to back them up or anything of that sort, but then when they talk about keywords, if you would know what keywords are, they could have used things in the lines of baby, pregnancy, children, and afterwards, where if you mention these words, or if you comment on anyone's post, if you message someone through these platforms, the app basically knows, and they're going to put all ads running in those, with those interests,
in those categories. So
yeah, they can basically target you. So that's one way.
Again, it's all down to cookies as well, isn't it? It's all down to cookies.
Absolutely.
We can talk about cookies another time, because there is a whole. I could go in depth about cookies and what they are, because not only are they're a blessing and a curse both at the same time, because the blessing, in a sense, of cookies, they remember who you are for certain websites, they remember your login details. But then the curses are, if you've been looking at, say you wanted to surprise your partner with like a romantic getaway to Paris for a couple of days, and your partner jumps on your computer, your advertisements are going to be catered to that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's blessing and a curse. They're a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I mean, And it's not just Google we're talking about. We're talking about YouTube as well. I mean, it is a part of
It's part of the same
Google,
network,
but
isn't it? Yeah.
exactly. I mean, these guys bought YouTube for about $1.5 billion, somewhere around 2003, but they're generating that much now. In a month.
Google launched in 2005. I remember this because I was at school at the time.
2005. Then
Yeah.
probably 2013. My bad.
Yeah, probably something like that,
2013.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how these guys are generating that much in a month now, and I
Yeah.
mean, it's just nuts. So I think we've got a lot to break down in terms of how
Yes.
YouTube deem themselves as indispensable. You're talking about. I mean, you're talking about YouTube. Who's not gonna? I think Google's actually the term that the phrase we use. Google it. That term alone, I think, will be YouTube it in a couple of years' time, because people are,
It is now. It is now. YouTube is used for so many different things. Like we can discuss this after the break, but YouTube is used for so many different things. Not only is it used for personal use, but it's also used for professional use as well.
Absolutely. If it's education, I mean, I think we can just break it down after the break. I have a couple of stories as well that I myself can actually break down. But then we'll actually be back after the break. Josh and I will be breaking down this conversation further on how the EU is actually restricting or monitoring how Google and YouTube, I would say not just these two, but then it comes to Facebook, it comes to all Facebook platforms as well. But it is good. It is necessary. And we'll be right back with you after the break, breaking all these things down. You're tuned in on Relaks Radio, and this is The Buzz. We'll be with you all the way till 3 p.m. Good afternoon.
Climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
You're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? But when you are basically going out and during a day, you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. You buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods, they're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK. We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value of that stock is driven by supply and demand, it's driven by emotion, it's driven by news, it's driven by quite a lot of variables over and above the actual accounting or total net worth of that company. I mean, we've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? And the company may still have value, it may still be doing quite a good thing.
Welcome back to the Buzz. My name is Josh, and I'm here with Tim. You can get in touch with us on 078.
That's 0778 07856 473 473.
Oh, there we go. There we go. You know the number off by heart. I'm still getting used to this. So we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, we are live on Instagram, and we are talking about the EU opening antitrust probes into Google. Now, if you want to be involved with the show again, contact us on that phone number, or you can comment on this video, and we can discuss any questions that you may have. So going back to the topic.
Yeah, we were talking about how when it comes to YouTubing things, it is basically replacing the phrase "you Google it," right? And it is coming to the point where when it comes to we use the term Google it. I think where are encyclopedias now? Where are dictionaries now? It's basically replaced all that, right? And what I'm thinking is, from the fact that YouTube is coming up, people are posting on everything. There is a story I read on. I watched it. I watched a video of this guy basically breaking down this guy's story. He has a page called Hey Dad, How Do I, or something in those lines. And what he does is simple things like redo a light bulb, or fix a door at home. If it is looking for a spanner, and things you can do around at home. Little do-it-yourself toolkit things. Replacing a tire, things like that. Now, I myself fell victim to this. Now, I was driving home after a couple of meetings, and then I had a flat tire. Now, I was, luckily it was after the meeting. That's the first thing I thought. But then, I was thinking, am I actually going to wait? And I was stuck in a road. I was wondering if I was actually going to call someone up and ask them to come do it, because that's going to cost me a ton, right? And, also, why don't I just do it myself? I honestly didn't know how to do it, but, I just YouTubed it, and, problem solved right there.
This is the thing. This is what I was saying. YouTube is used for so many different reasons, like from personal reasons to educational reasons to entertainment reasons as well. it's such a broad market.
Absolutely.
It's
And
such a broad. Yeah.
And I think, like you said, since there's education involved as well, it's superb. I mean, it comes into breaking down things in the lines of no, I was I'm obviously trying to switch increase the amount my personal skill set, right? I'm trying to learn how you can basically design apps or how you can program apps.
I love researching that kind of thing. Absolutely love it. I use YouTube mostly because I'm quite heavily involved with like Photoshop and Illustrator and After Effects, and
Awesome.
I'm always looking for like little tips and tricks to help just boost my skills. So again, people use it for all different reasons. You can use it to build a skill set. You can, if you want to know how to cook something, you can look on YouTube for it. YouTube it. It's going to be one of the phrases that we're going to hear so much of in years to come.
I think if you have, you said you have a kid, you said you have a little girl, right?
Yeah, I've got a 6-week-old baby. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely hoping she turns out to be amazing, and I know she will be.
Radio presenter in the making.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when it comes to the time where she starts school or sometime around there, when it comes to, and these children learn so fast, by the way.
Trust me.
It's
you see
amazing,
some of these. You see that this is what I'm saying. Like the market is so diverse. Do you know one of the highest grossing YouTubers, right, in terms of payment, is an 8-year-old boy who lives in the United States. He goes by the name of Ryan's Toy Review. I don't know if you've heard about. I don't know if you've heard about him.
Yeah.
The guy,
it's about 7 million a month.
It's ridiculous. He's got his own TV show over here in the UK. He's got his own toy range that you can get from any big toy stores like Smith's or Toys R Us, or not so much Toys R Us anymore, but you used to be able to get them there. The kid is one of the highest gross. His net worth as an 8-year-old child is something that only I could ever dream of. I'm never going to make that kind of money ever.
I think not just dreaming, but then comprehending what's going on here, right? I mean, you have it is the potential customer age, and then again, I'm pretty sure he's got a ton of support or know-how with his parents.
His parents are fully behind him. They get involved in the videos and all sorts. They're singing and dancing and having a great time.
I mean, they could just get their kid toys and then just let the fellow play with them and put reviews up and just chill at home. They don't really need to work. I mean, earning 7 million a month.
This is it as well. This is it. But again, we have to take into consideration as well that the ads that are being put on those videos are for children's toys. And if, like me, you click on advertisements to see what they're about, there's nothing stopping your child doing that. There's absolutely nothing. There's been multiple stories of children buying stuff off their parents' credit cards for like stupid amounts. I remember last year, and I remember it very, very clearly because it happened to someone that was quite local to me. An 11-year-old child spent £650 on his parents' credit card on Fortnite V-Bucks.
Did they get the mom's reaction on video or something like that?
Oh no, it was in the news. It was in the press. It went. I think she initially invested. She put it through to the fraud department of her credit card company, and then obviously the boy admitted to what he had done. But again, this was all down to advertisements. This was all down to just the consumer market needs to be corrected so that it's not targeting these people of that age, because kids are kids and they're going to do things they're not supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really avoid that. I mean, I'm not going to say I've been a perfect kid either. I mean, I'm not going to say I am.
I ain't going to say I am.
I mean, adults make their mistakes as well. So you need to make sure that when it comes, talking about, the whole conversation or ads around, monitoring the privacy and then things in the lines of these are we're not talking about small agencies. We are talking about the biggest search engine in the world.
Yeah.
It's basically communication on the public. You're talking about how they acknowledge themselves as indispensable. And then, when it comes to things in the lines of sharing illegal or copyrighted content, these are all, there are cybersecurity laws. There are basically all these laws that are basically coming up, and it's opening so many markets. That is good, but you need to make sure, you need to be, I think, aware of how much you're actually exposing onto these platforms. And to add to what I was saying, I think the customer now, that is also referred to as a user, right? They basically, the user basically, in the next generation user actually is becoming comfortable with sharing all this information. That is what's scary.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, I've got plenty of stories about the data that's been used against me. For example, we're all working. I am broadcasting from home, so over there in the background, I've got a dartboard that sits right behind me. Right, so the story behind me actually getting that is down to AdSense. So I was at my parents' house and we were watching the Darts World Cup, and I'd had a couple of drinks, and on the bus home, I was flicking through Google and an advertisement on Amazon come up, or advertisement on Google come up, and Amazon, they were selling a dartboard for 60 quid. So me being me and my drunken self thought, yeah, I need a dartboard, I'll buy that straight away. Because of what I was watching on YouTube and because of what I was looking up, the cookies were used against me and then lured me in. I'd say lured me. I should stop myself.
I mean,
it's
targeting
me.
Yeah,
exactly. This is the problem nowadays. Like, people are getting influenced into paying for services, buying products they don't necessarily need.
That's a big. I think we can take
it's the biggest security breach of all time. It's something so minor but can be made into this massive deal, this massive problem. And we need. It needs to be maintained properly.
I mean, you're 100% correct, and when you say that it needs to be maintained, I don't know how many times I can say this, but I'm super grateful for the EU basically being the most proactive, at least by far, when it comes to these, and it's setting a standard for these. It's setting a standard for other countries, or setting an example for other countries to basically, make sure that all the content going online, this is a problem, and if not monitored, you don't know what these people could actually use it for.
No, exactly. It could be used for sinister reasons. Like, if you say for example, you store your credit card information on your computer. I personally don't. I don't like the idea of my debit card or credit card being stored virtually as cookies on my computer, because again, there is nothing stopping someone hacking into the network and then taking my details and then selling them on to third party companies, and then me being charged extortionate amounts of money for services I haven't received. Like,
I mean, it can come to a point where these techies actually are, majority of the techies I know are actually so paranoid when it comes to even putting their face on a video call, because they know how I'd say fragile it is. Because it's just a matter of someone with an intention and the know-how to go back behind you and hack into all your data, trace everything that you've been doing on your mobile phone or your computer. And I think that is solely the reason you have the green and blue colored icons coming on, the dots coming on top of your screen when you're, just to show you that the app is actually, some app is actually using your mobile phone, the front cam or the back cam, and then that is the green. And then when it comes to your laptop, there is a blinker. Also on your mobile phone, you have the orange dot that comes up when your microphone is being used. Now, these are important as well. So this is how the I wouldn't say if these mobile phone manufacturers were 100% against it, they would do something about it. But they know that this is all complementary for their revenue.
No, 100%. Again, when we're talking about people that have the intent and stuff, like there are plenty of videos on YouTube. You can look them up. There's a guy that I watch in particular. His name's Scambaiter, and he targets these people. He targets these call centers in other countries that target the elderly as such, where they will get a pop-up on their computer, say it's from Amazon, or emails from Amazon, and say, oh, this purchase has been made, we need you to authorize it, please call this number. And then what they will then do is reverse as such hack into your system. So they'll ask you to go on a program like TeamViewer and ask you to fill in all these details. They will snap your credit card details from your Amazon account and then start to PayPal themselves money. Again, and this is all down to cookies. This is all down to the AdSense.
I mean, it's coming to a point where, I think we can take a last quick break for the show and before we head out. No, but just to tell you what we can basically be breaking down, like you said, the Amazon conversation. This is basically studied by marketers in their books today. They because I did it myself, and when it comes to your case studies, you need to understand how these apps are basically programmed to study you or your spending patterns. And I'm basically just going to break it down after this quick break. But if you want to basically get in touch with us, feel free to comment on this video, comment your thoughts, and share with us what you want us to basically talk about. If you have come across any situation like this where you've noticed these apps basically coming into your conversations and then targeting ads to you, just share your story with us. You can also call us up on 07852473473. You're tuned in on The Buzz with Josh and Tim. And we'll be right back after a quick video. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're writing? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick. What I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one, because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. That's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back. You're tuned into The Buzz here on Relaks Radio. My name's Josh and I'm here with Tim, where we discuss everything from from tech to business to entrepreneurship. You can get in contact with us by calling the studio on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, if you are watching this on either YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can comment on the videos and we will talk about anything that you wish to discuss. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear anything about, have you been a victim of data fraud? All because of the information that's stored on your computer. The reason for this is obviously the European Union has opened an antitrust probe into Google. We've been discussing this for the past 45 minutes and how this has actually impacted the consumer market. We're talking about platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, and Google itself, and obviously the GDPR breaches. Now, just before the break, we spoke about the biggest breach, the biggest security breach of our personal data, and that is the ads that are targeted. The ads that are targeted for us based on our search history and what we've spoken about.
In broad daylight.
In broad daylight. No doubt, when we come off of this show tonight, or when we come off of this show in the afternoon, me and you are going to go onto our social media platforms, and there are going to be articles about Amazon, about Google, simply just because of what we've been discussing about.
Absolutely. I mean, you really don't know how or what time they're actually, monitoring you. I mean, it comes to a point where, if they really want, they can look at you while you're using your phone. They can really look at what your eye movement is on, which part of the screen your eyes are actually paying attention to.
Eye tracking software is another thing that they are using.
Exactly. And another thing about this is, when it comes to your Amazon account, right? Now, if you have purchased anything on Amazon, it's basically, it's not just, catering these, it's not just targeting these ads to you. It's understanding what type of user you are, what other users like you actually
What is your
purchase.
intent on the internet?
Exactly. And it's basically studying you as much as Facebook or Facebook, Instagram, these they are, or even Google is. It's basically studying you as much as these are. That is why, I mean, it's not a coincidence as to how Amazon has become, the world's most expensive company. And just coming to a point where they've integrated logistics with customer centric internet or softwares, and integrating it with the growth of the internet. I mean,
We're talking about how far Amazon have come. I don't know if you know this, but Amazon originally opened up as an online bookstore, and
absolutely.
it's gradually catered to the market, where it's now become a place where you can buy absolutely anything and everything, ranging from clothes to laundry supplies to food to books to magazines. And if you want it, you can find it on Amazon. There's
That's right.
there's nothing stopping you doing that. However, when you buy something from Amazon, if you go onto your social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, you are almost guaranteed to find an ad about something relating to what you have recently bought. So, say for example, you've bought an Xbox off of Amazon. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying Xboxes off of Amazon. Go to an electrical outlet. But let's say, for example, you bought an Xbox. Guarantee you see advertisements on your social media platforms about games that are on offer. You will find that. And it's all down to your browsing history. It's all down to the cookies that are stored on your computer. And that is where the EU has now stuck a probe in Google and said this needs to be sorted out, because the consumer market is being targeted in the majority of the time in the wrong way. And we've been discussing this for the past almost an hour now, about why this is such a good thing. It's not the first time the European Union has opened a probe into a let's say trillion-dollar industry now, because that's what Google is. They've done it to Amazon, they've done it to Facebook, they've done it to Google. The US have done it to TikTok. There are so many different stories about these probes being done into these massive platforms, and something actually coming good of it. However, all I'm going to say, what I want to know is what is the worst thing that can happen to Google? What, are they going to get slapped with a $2 million fine? That's pocket change to someone like that.
Exactly. I mean,
there needs to be a new law put in place.
I'd say, these guys have come to a point where they are strong enough to say that, regardless of how much we are actually fined, you don't really know how much you need us. And, if it comes to a point where they really want to.
Let's face it. If the European Union turned around to Google and said, right, it's been ruled that you have to shut down, the internet will literally die. Because let's face it, Google has always and always has been and always will be the middleman for absolutely anything and everything.
That's so true. I mean, you're talking about, Google. You're not talking about, some you're not really talking about some, retailer or, wholesaler when it comes to your, I'd say, when it comes to your groceries or something like that. You're talking about information. You're talking about education, entertainment. This is pretty much the internet, almost everything. Now,
Google it. We hear it all the time. Google it. Because it's such a common thing now. Google has its own. It's now in the Oxford Dictionary. It's that well known. It's in the Oxford Dictionary as an online search engine. Before Google, we had stuff like Ask Jeeves and we've got Bing, but I don't think Bing is nowhere near in comparison to what the likes of Google is. Google is the biggest search engine on the internet today, and
they're expanding as fast.
It's heavy. It's expanding all the time. They've recently bought YouTube, which again is the biggest video streaming platform in the world. It's bigger than Netflix. It's bigger than Amazon Prime Video. It's bigger than Vimeo. YouTube is YouTube, and we had this discussion. I think it was last week, where YouTube videos are now being sold as NFTs. But that's a discussion for another day. But this just goes to show the kind of platform that YouTube actually is. Google dip their fingers in the right pies. They buy the businesses that will make them money, and they have done. The AdSense, which is what obviously the ads are targeted. That's where your ads are basically targeted at is the AdSense. That's how all these YouTubers make all their money via AdSense, and it goes based on your search history and goes based on your purchase history or anything like that. Like I said before, like I said at the beginning of the show, it can go as far as something you've discussed about with a friend whilst in the same room while your computer's on. Your microphone picks it up. Again, it's the biggest breach of security we've ever seen, and it's about time the EU have finally said enough's enough and done something about it.
Absolutely, and I think, like you said, when it comes to the NFTs, when it comes to monitoring our content,
where would you know where to buy NFTs without Google? Where would you know where to get them? How would you find out? Because without Google, you wouldn't know.
Exactly. It's all search engines at the end of the day, and people are pushing for a lot of people are pushing for a ton of their own content in return for attention or clout, right? So it's a give and take these guys are doing. It's coming to a point where it's already at a point where we already depend on it so much, so that we don't really have an immediate option. Yahoo is long gone. Like Yahoo is,
AOL, MSN.
Yeah, these guys are just history right now. And if you're hoping for a quick comeback by these guys, you're dreaming, honestly. And
you're not gonna find anything like Google anytime soon.
Yeah,
Google is something that is not going to be replaced ever.
We can maybe break down these into a further conversation as to how Google actually came to the point where they are, and understanding why they are who they are, and looking at how the concept of Google basically became so dependent. At least people became so dependent on who Google is, right? So what we're going to do is, I think we'll basically save that for another day, maybe tomorrow or the day after. We've got Chris coming in, but so what we can basically do is break down how and why Google came to where they are and what they're investing in. There's one thing I really wanted to break down was Google Lens, and it's basically how you basically use Google Lens. You take a picture of a car, it's going to give you all search results for that particular car. You take a picture of, if you're watching a movie with someone like Brad Pitt, or if you're watching the Avengers or something like that, you take a picture of one of the actors, and it's going to show you all search results of that particular actor.
There was actually glasses, these things that had Google Lens installed in them, which flopped heavily. But like Google Plus, do you remember Google Plus? That was terrible, wasn't it?
I'm talking about the mobile phone now. Now they've actually got an
the Google Lens phone. Yes.
So it's not the Google phone. It's an app you can get on Android, on Apple as well. So it's called Google Lens. You download it today. You take a picture of maybe a chair at home. You take a picture of your microphone, your setup at home, your desktop, and you're going to.
I'm going to research this while I'm going to do this while we're talking. While we're talking now, I'm going to take a picture of my microphone. I'm going to see what he comes up with.
You can do that right now, and we can actually see what it says. It's super. I'd say it's super. Impressive as to
Google Lens. Okay, got it. So let's take a picture. I don't know. Let's take a picture. I'll tell you what. I've got this. I've got a can of Monster. Let's see what happens. Right. So if I take a picture of a can of Monster, looking for results, it's come up. Look, that's crazy. Anything related to Monster. Not necessarily the can of Monster, but we're talking stuff like it's coming up with like Monster, the job site Monster. It's coming up with the film Monster on IMDb. That's craziness. That's mental.
This is today, man. This is not the future. We're already in
it. There's the website, Monster Energy. It's finally come up with the Monster Energy website.
Exactly. Now, imagine how much they can actually understand what's going on in the real world if they want to, right?
craziness. It's actually also come up with a Spanish website where you can actually buy, a Mexican website where you can buy the 2-liter cans of this stuff. That's lethal. That's lethal. That shouldn't be a thing. That should not be a thing.
Maybe we can break that down on another day, but I think it's about that time we have to head out of the show today. It's been a pleasure as always, Josh, having you on.
Thank you very much. I've got my own show coming soon. Details to be confirmed, but that will come at a different time.
And so we can basically break down the euros and talk about Google Lens, the new features about Google, break them down further. But we're gonna have to wrap for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing afternoon. The buzz is gonna go on till 3 p.m. Thanks a lot again, Josh, for tuning in.
No worries. It's been a pleasure as always, Tim. Been a pleasure as always.
Awesome. I'll catch you probably Friday, if not later.
Maybe tomorrow. If we have this discussion about Google tomorrow, definitely. I'll do my research tonight.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Awesome.